Have stood on Scotland for far too long, plundering and killing everyone. When will we be free from this tyranny? The Dress Act, they did say we're taking your tartan away. The Act of the Union has been such a blow. 300 years under Westminster foe. Scottish resistance I will always be. Scottish resistance, it's my destiny. Family clan, I will wear my tartan. Our heritage runs through our veins, we'll pass it on to our bands. We are in pain and are suffering. This global pandemic is killing me and my family. The corporate giant is giving me minimum wage. My dignity's gone and I'm sitting here lost again. We are told what to do and where to go, who to see by our own society. Scottish resistance I will always be. Scottish resistance, it's my destiny. Family clan, I will wear my tartan. Our heritage runs through our veins, and we'll pass it on to our bands. Rob the poor, feed the rich. Well, isn't life such a bitch? How can we live this way? The Tories are here to stay. My Scottish pride, I need to decide my ancestors' pain. For my gain, I should hang my head in shame. We are to blame to let Westminster rule our brain. Scottish resistance I will always be. Scottish resistance, it's my destiny. The family clan, I will wear my tartan. Our heritage runs through our veins, we'll pass it on to our bands.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Scottish Resistance Chat Show live from the Scottish Resistance Community page on the 17th of October 2022. First of all, I want to welcome everybody on the chat. Uh, Lorna McDonald just popped in. The Silent Clansman, Paul Jameson, how you doing, mate? Alison Cooper, Nancy MacGyver. Hold on, there we go. Anita King, hi Anita. Um, Lillian Evans, as always. Yeah, Robert Tabor, and that's the names that I can see now at this point. Kev Riley just popped in. Billy Holland, how you doing, guys? All right. Um, I want to introduce the panel to you. All the way. Where were you again, mate? Thomas, where were you now?
Oh, me? Yeah, I'm in the Philippines, Manila.
Philippines. There you go. All the way from the Philippines at 3 a.m. or something like that on his
Yeah,
birthday. Thomas
yeah.
McArthur, how you doing, mate?
Hey guys, it's only about 20 degrees here. The air conditioning's on.
All right. Oh, your hair froze now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, chill. Yeah.
And then, well, he used to be a regular, but now he's shaping up to be another a regular again. He's been on a couple of times now. Ian Leckenby, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good, thanks for asking. I just highlighting how many guests we've had cancel on us in the recent weeks and other shows, but
It's great having
yeah.
you on again, mate. As always, as always.
I know, listen, always good to be in. I'm watching the chat as well this evening, got up on both the
Yeah,
screens,
please
so
do,
keeping an eye on what's going on. So I get
please
involved,
do.
get interactive, be part of it. So George jumping in as well. So looking forward to
Awesome. And of course, James, our founder, James Scott. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing fine, Raymond. How are you?
Doing really well. I told Ian before the show I had the only thing that I had since Thursday were that my ears were plugged up, so I had to go to the doctors today to have it flushed out. So I can hear everything now, so don't even bother whispering. I can hear you. No, just
You can
kidding.
hear clearly
But
now.
what's that?
You can hear clearly now.
I can hear clearly now. Yeah,
You can hear clearly now.
if you speak clearly, yeah.
Clearly now the rain has gone.
All right, guys, let's start. We have a full um, repertoire of topics. Um, let's move to the, where is it? The topic list. It moved again. Jeez, come on. Ah, there we go. There we go. The first topic, James, something that you came up with, the Brit brainwashing bubble, as you call it, um, was something that has been going on since God knows when. The mainstream media, well, mainstream media in general, but especially for us, the British mainstream media brainwashing basically everybody. James, wanna start us off?
Well, what is a brainwashing bubble? In simple terms, what it means is they control everything. They control all the media. They control everything that they tell you, but not only everything that tell you, they control what they don't tell you. Now, I've been looking at what's been happening all over Europe just now. In France, in Italy, in Poland, in Germany, they're burning their electricity bills. They're getting together, they're protesting, they're taking their electricity and gas bills up to the front, the headquarters of buildings in these countries and dumping them. There are massive protests all over Europe. There is not a single thing said, not a single word is said under the Brit media bubble. They don't want to tell people what is going on in other countries. I discovered how bad it was a few years ago. In fact, since the advent of satellite TV, when you see all these other news stations from around Europe, particularly if you look at Euronews, what an education you get
Yeah.
when you see the news from all the other European countries. It's very sad that we are deprived of what goes on in the other European countries. If you ask the average Scot anything about another country in Europe, it's very sad, folks. Most of them don't know who prime ministers are in other countries. They don't know the populations of other countries. They know damn all about other countries in Europe. They know more about the USA because of all the influx of all the USA TV programs that we get. It's incredible, folks. We have got one of the most controlled regimes. In fact, I would say it is the most controlled regime in the world. The Brit bubble. They tell you what they want to tell you, keep the truth from you, and they don't tell you what's going on in all the other countries in the world. Protests all over Europe, folks. Lots of protests. It's easy to find. Just do a little bit of digging, and you'll be amazed at the amount of protests that are going on against energy rises. And we in Scotland are particularly hard hit with these energy rises. Our bills have gone up astronomically. We create energy so easily, and yet the further north you go, the higher they're charging us. The lowest rate for electricity is in bloody London. The folk that are stealing it from us. Come on, folks. Wake up. Get out the Brit bubble. Start educating yourself. Find out about our partners in Europe. Work with them. There's lots of people in other countries in Europe that want to work with us to help Scotland break free from this horrible, evil Brit regime.
Definitely. And you mentioned further up north you go, basically, and the more expensive the energy gets. And like I said, it is ridiculous because Scotland on its own produces 93% of energy that they would need, that you guys would need.
That's it. Absolutely.
But if you go further up north, if you go to the Shetlands, they produce and I'm not kidding you, 130% of what they would need, they produce.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they would be able to sell stuff even if they use up the energy that they need.
That's
but
true.
Still, you pay more than everybody down south.
Yeah.
It's just really ridiculous. Thomas.
I mean, when that Liz Truss did her little speech, she was saying that they needed nuclear into Scotland and Scotland's energy crisis. I mean, you know what I mean? People believe in what the media are saying. I mean, obviously they're not listening. Like, nothing's been taken out of the media about Scotland. I mean, Scotland's not in energy crisis as in producing electricity. That's the way Liz Truss was talking about it. You know, like you said, we produce 97% of our own electricity and export 40% of it. So it's just like, you know, and like James is saying, you know, France and that, I mean, they never take anything lying down. As soon as something goes wrong, they're out in the streets with trucks. The fishermen, they're blocking ports and harbours, and they know how to, you know, go on massive strikes. And the thing is, Scotland or the UK, but I mean, we're just lying it and taking it in and not doing anything. Yeah. Even my suggestion of flicking switches on at a certain time at a certain night, like to say a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, flick your light switch on for like 10 seconds each. Everybody in Scotland could do it at the same time. What a massive thing that would show the world, you know. They would say, well, what's this fucking disco in Scotland? Like, flash your light, no, the light switch. It's a demonstration. That was going through my head. I was just trying to get that off to everyone to do that. That'd be something amazing.
Well, it's funny you mentioned France. They protest a lot, definitely. But another thing about French government, they were probably the first. I think they were even the first that who capped the prices of electricity and other forms of energy.
It was about 95% as well, wasn't it?
What's that?
5%.
3 or 5% of an increase.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than the 75 that we've had in fuel so far this year.
Exactly.
The 250% on energy. Now the mortgages as well, the interest rates. It's ridiculous what's happened, and it's, you know, we're in recession territory. We're in financial collapse. You know, the Bank of England bailed out the UK government not once but twice in the last week. You know, it's very, very convenient for some of the stuff that's coming out at the moment with, you know, the references to the white papers, Scotland having its own currency, because let's be honest, the pound was worth $1.64 the day of the referendum on the 18th of September 2014. It's now currently sitting at $1.03, you know, so you're talking 2/3 of the currency wiped off in the last 8 years. Why has that happened? Brexit, COVID, all sorts. There's all sorts of blame factors. Russia, prime ministers, it's government instability. It's so many layers to this onion. It's impossible to pick it apart. But we are living through a point where whatever the BBC is telling us, we really need to look in another direction, because, yeah.
Well, the thing is, I truly believe that there's only one reason for all this trouble. I mean, when there is a so-called crisis, they always blame that, but there's only one reason. That's the gross misconduct and negligence by the Tory government. It created Brexit, all the wrong decisions made through COVID. When they actually made decisions, they didn't adhere to those decisions and to their own laws. And yeah, I mean, and now Liz Truss, basically, and we're talking about it later on, but her first idea was to lower the taxes on the super rich, so they could invest more in the economy, which is bull crap, of course. But wish Daniel was here with the jar. But yeah, but it's just shameful. It's just blaming everything but yourself. That's basically what's going on now. What do you think, James?
I've already talked on that subject.
So, all right, if you want to move on, that's fine with me.
Raimond,
Yeah.
let me say something.
Yeah.
Right, Raimond. One of even my friends, right? He was going, "Oh, yippee! I'm getting £400 back from for this." And I said, "Look, mate, last year you're paying maybe £1,500 more, and you're happy you're getting £400 back." I says, "Do the mathematics."
That's all going on the country's credit card. That's going to get paid back in the next 3 to 5 years, regardless if you've benefited from it or not. It will be automatically deducted. It's bonkers.
But you're not benefiting for it. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're paying £1,500 more over. So even if you got the £400 back, it's probably still £1,000 worse off. So you're not benefiting. You know, it's like absolutely joke. Yeah, I wanted to get that out. But he was so happy. Oh.
Well, Margaret McGovern just said it just boils down. Well, she didn't say it boils down to, but what it really boils down to is what she says: corporate greed.
Yeah, that's it. Corporate greed.
That's it. That's it.
The Tories.
Yeah.
Tories.
Well, every high up in the corporate ladder are do have friends within the Tory party.
Aye.
So it always boils down to corporate greed. Let's move on. If anybody wants to add something, of course, but let's move on if that's not the case. Well, we hinted on it. The problems of Brexit. Brexit in itself. Where do you start with a topic like that? I mean, what problem did it not bring? We would be done far sooner than when we talk about the problems, I think. Iain.
It probably advanced Scottish independence by a decade or two.
Yeah.
It's the only upside I can see to Brexit. Everything else, and it's very, once again, careful on the whole independence question, because there'll be a separate question about the sovereignty of the country. Does it lie within our empire or within the people? Do we go for into Europe in any point? Do we join EFTA? There's all sorts of opportunities that the Scottish people will decide in a democratically held election. which will be decided after there's been some sort of point of, it has to be a referendum of the public. But then once again, I can see the other side of the argument where it's, because we're going to be up against the BBC again for the next, year, 2 years of anti-propaganda. I don't know. As I said, it's one of those, if we have a referendum, it can be bought. The British would buy it again. Just the same way that they bought the last one. It would be dire if we lost it that way, because then it would be, off the agenda for another 30, 40, 50 years kicking down the line. Because we're talking about an empire that's 300 years. It reminds me of a joke. Why does the sun never set on the British Empire? It's not even God can trust English in the dark. It's that mentality. We're right beside that cesspit of London, anti-corporate greed, evil. Look at what we watch them on the telly. The Nonce Prince. We see them getting shouted out from their jail cells for their pal. Hope he's doing well. Do you know what I mean? It's, and then we just go about our normal lives like, oh, nothing happens. It's fine. This guy. I don't know if he actually sold his chalet in the Alps to pay his legal bill for the case. It's bonkers.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas.
Well, yeah. The other thing as well is, like, because of the BBC as well, Brexit. They never the BBC like the elephant in the room. They don't blame what's happening to our society on Brexit. It's either some other excuse like the war in Ukraine or COVID or something like that. So, like a little bit touched on the subject a little bit there with Nicola's white paper today when she was bringing out all the stuff about Brexit and our economy is going down the toilet because of it. Part of it. So, like, in the food crises and stuff like that, I mean, it's just now you're still going to hit because you're still seeing food on the shelf still not topping up as much as they can. You know what I mean? And how many businesses have went out? I don't know how many businesses have went out of production since 2018 or whatever it was, 16. So I don't know. I just want us to get out of this union and fucking. And like you said, Iain, we should have a choice. Should we go into EFTA? And I think we should, because we should go to that first. There's no point in rushing into leaving one union and going into another union without the democratic will of the people to vote. Because if we can get free movement of people and free tariffs without paying big buddy money to join a club, we should do it, rather than pay extra money to join a club where we can get the benefits at a cheaper rate and have free movement of people. And you know what I mean? So I think we should join.
You're absolutely right, mate. You're absolutely right. I mean, first of all, the whole question about the EU should be far beyond gaining Scotland's. It's as we say, restoring Scotland's independence. For the same reason, it should not be attached to the question of independence. But once that's been done and we're up for that question of rejoining the EU, that's up for the Scottish people to do so. But what you said, mate, is I actually agree with that. You should not leave one union to join another, first of all. But the free movement thing, and if Scotland would be such a prize to have as a trading partner, so they would, if one of those things that Scotland can get out of it is free movement, they would jump on that. I mean, if we just look at all the riches that Scotland has, they would jump to that opportunity to have Scotland in that free movement group, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
but Raymond, I was going to, sorry, Raymond, for cutting you off.
No.
It was, it's because of a lot of the arts and the music and people travelling to Europe for music and coming to this country for culture. That is a massive amount of money as well.
Exactly.
And the younger people can't do this. and that's why we need this free movement of people, so that they other people go and see other people's cultures and music and art.
I can still.
That's massive.
The thing is, I can still come over. Before when the UK was within the EU, somebody that had a Dutch ID card could use that card to come over. That's the free movement thing. Now we need a passport. That's basically the only difference. We don't need a what do you call it? Can't think of the word.
Green card.
No. Not a green card. That's when you want to work. Oh, and
Visa.
what do you call that? Jeez.
Visa.
There you go. Thank you.
Visa.
You don't need to. There are some countries that even if you wanna visit on RaLei, you need a visa for that as well. You don't need that. You only have to have a passport, a valid passport, and you can come over. So that's not the case for free movement. But free movement is like, for instance, when before, if I would have decided to come over and stay in Scotland and work in Scotland, I could have. I don't have to go through the mill, but I can just do that because of the free. That's the free movement thing. And
with that, if you're trying to, when you're trying to get that visa and you're trying to apply for that residential status, you've got to be at a certain point where you're making X amount.
Exactly.
Even before they consider you, you're talking the 37, 35, 9,000. The pool of edge people keep moving on the visa for the universities massively reduced as well. Which, if even you look at Glasgow as a city, a lot of its accommodation is set up for that student accommodation, the international markets, to attract them to the world-renowned international universities. You can't attract that traffic in now because of all these barriers that fucking Brexit's put up. It's bonkers. The something that we voted on in 2016 still isn't resolved to a point where people can live their lives. It's affected everything we've done from here till whenever. As I said, it's not it didn't reopen the whole independence question, but it certainly was. Which should have been a trigger point to go out. We're being ignored. We were told by talk about the lies of Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmond was once a generation, but they also told us down in Westminster, don't leave Scotland. Lead us, be part of us. What was the very first thing they done? Brought in rules to not have a Scottish Prime Minister ever at any point again. It's bonkers what we've seen them get away with and what we've put up with still, what we're still having to put up with.
Yeah. James.
Right. The problems since Brexit, I think everybody's touched on them, but I'll just briefly go over them again. Empty shelves. I'm seeing it everywhere you go in supermarkets, lots of empty shelves, and prices have gone up. Some things are double the price what they were a couple of years ago. Not only that, what's happening, we were talking about free movement of people in Europe. Now, I was watching some Spanish business people that have got businesses in the Canary Islands, for instance, and they're telling us what they're saying. They've had interviews and they're telling people that they don't have the same amount of people to interview anymore because the UK did supply a lot of these holiday workers, believe it or not, during the holiday seasons. And you're not allowed to go from the UK to Spanish territory, including the Canary Islands, for very long now before you're told to go back. The free movement has stopped. What these Spanish business people are saying is, well, we would normally get maybe 10 or 11 applications for a job. Now we're getting 2 and they're just locals. We're not getting any UK applications anymore.
Well, we talked about it last week with Brian Forgy. He's had the same problem.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's not moving back.
Yeah. There's so many problems because of this Brexit. It's an absolute nightmare. And there's no sign of us escaping it. Empty shelves, no freedom of movement, and the way the system's set up as well is it's so hard to get into some of these countries now. It really is. Especially Spanish territory, I'm telling you. I never went on holiday. I usually go to the Canary Islands on holiday. Didn't go this year. I went to Croatia. It was easier to go into Croatia because of all the bloody paperwork what you fill in regarding COVID and all that. So I might not be going back to the Canary Islands or Spanish territory for some considerable time. It's a million
James,
by Brexit.
Yeah, James, the other one as well is people coming here for the crops and the farmers in this country.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's another thing. I mean, they are rotten carrots and potatoes or whatever, and strawberries and stuff like that in the fields. Where beforehand, you know, a young guy would come over from I don't know, say Poland or whatever, and then just do a summer job right up, and then maybe go somewhere else and do another bit, and then they see the country, enjoy friends, make money. You know, maybe get some accommodation. All that's all gone as well. And the farmers are saying, well, you shouldn't have voted for bloody Brexit in the first place. It's your own bloody fault. And the fishermen, who are we going to sell our fish to? Because, you know what I mean, we've not got the biggest market and the closest neighbours to us. We've shut them off. You know, the fish are rotten. You know what I mean?
Just finish off here on this subject. The guys were talking, Ian and Thomas were talking about after we get independence, joining EFTA. Who are you going to join EFTA? We get independence.
Joining EFTA. We're going to after Wales.
You keep going on about joining EFTA independence.
Yeah, I know. Typical James.
Oh, I'm kidding. EFTA, I know who EFTA are. Right,
I'm trying to make sure I get the abbreviation right. The European Trade Regional Areas, or EFTA.
But if they've not got a freedom of movement association,
there's literally the best way to look at how to get into Europe is there's a map. And Switzerland is right in the middle of that map, and everything kind of branches out from there. But kind of all the Scandinavian countries that are kind of in Europe through EFTA, but they've got sea protections or this stuff. I don't know. You know, as I said, it's a complicated process. The European Union. You know, it would take. You know, as someone correctly pointed out, the chat earlier on there, it took years to get into Europe again. But I think the difference is between the likes of, say, an independent Scotland and Turkey. When they're considering who would join Europe, Scotland's regulations are virtually all in line with the EU and have only been probably taken slightly out of alignment over the last 5 years. Yeah. So it won't take an awful lot to reconnect to get back in course. But, you know, talk even about, you know, if we have a new Scottish currency, which we could start doing tomorrow if we wanted. If Nicola Sturgeon, do you know what? Okay, let's set up an international bank, start running it, Bank of Scotland. Steal their name, take over, just run that as a, and have it going for 4 years. Once it's ticked over 4 years and actually proven itself as an economic model, it can be accepted by the European Union. You know, but then because I want to live in a country where I can pay in pounds or dollars or euros or whatever currencies in my pocket. Do you know what I mean? This whole global capitalism and currencies. This is why things have got up two-thirds ultimately. It's just with the change of the pound to the dollar. You know, it's ridiculous what's happening, and even scarier what could happen if hyperinflation takes over.
I'll come to you in a minute, James. Hold on. You mentioned Turkey. Turkey has been a aspiring member. See, they are not a full member, but they applied for a membership about 20 years ago, and it's still not being processed yet. Just keep that in mind if you think about the Ukraine, by the way, but that's sidestepping the topic. James, you want to come in?
I want to come in on the point that Ian made. He mentioned the Bank of Scotland. Now, there's a very, very important point here about the Bank of Scotland. The Bank of Scotland was created before the Bank of Union. It was Scotland's bank, the Bank of Scotland, and they had the pound sterling. Now, this is an important point. They had the pound sterling, the Scottish pound sterling. It wasn't the English pound sterling. The Bank of Scotland, created before the Act of Union, was an independent bank. It was in Scotland, a Scottish bank, and they had a pound sterling. So, see this claim that Westminster say that they control sterling. They don't. We had the pound sterling. They had the pound sterling as well, but we had the pound sterling. In Canada and America, they both use the dollar. It fluctuates a little between the value of the American dollar and the Canadian dollar. This is just the way it would work here. We had the pound sterling. They can't bloody take it away if we wanted to use sterling. But because they've made such a bloody fuss about sterling, we can make any bloody currency we want. It doesn't need to be sterling. So I wanted to really make that point. Bank of Scotland, created before Act of Union. We had the pound Scottish sterling. They can't bloody take it away from us.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So let's move on, guys. James, hand it back straight back to you for the week in history.
Right, this week in history, I'm going to talk about the brother of Robert the Bruce, who was Edward Bruce. Now, in the history books, this guy was some warrior, nearly as fearless as his brother Robert the Bruce. Edward Bruce was in charge of a large part of the Scottish army. And what he did, a year before the Battle of Bannockburn, he went and freed a lot of castles in the south of Scotland and the Lanarkshire area of Scotland, including Rutherglen Castle, which he retook in 1313. And there was a plaque on the wall of Castle Street, where Rutherglen Castle stood, to Edward Bruce. And when we did an event there to remember this event, the Union has stole the bloody plaque off the wall. It's never been replaced. A year later, after Edward Bruce got all these castles back from the English, he commanded a large division of the Scottish army at the Battle of Bannockburn. And as we know, Robert the Bruce's brother, who was King of Scots, led the Scottish army at the Battle of Bannockburn. And we had a resounding victory there. What happened the next year was amazing. In Ireland, which was being occupied by the English, and they were suffering terribly under English rule and high taxes, the Irish asked for help from Robert the Bruce. So Robert the Bruce and his brother Edward Bruce got lots of ships and went over to Ireland. And a deal was made that Edward Bruce, Robert the Bruce's brother, would become king of all Ireland. And that's exactly what happened in 1315. Edward Bruce was king of all Ireland. And for years, for 3 years, they fought and they got rid of a lot of English out of Ireland, but they never completely succeeded. And Edward Bruce was killed in the Battle of Dundalk in 1318, 3 years after he was made king of all Ireland. And they cut off his head and they sent it to Edward II in England. And Edward II was defeated in battle by Robert the Bruce and the Scots at the Battle of Bannockburn. Now, if you go to Dundalk, in the cemetery, there's a big grave to Edward Bruce, King of all Ireland. His body's in the grave, but it's missing one thing. It's missing his head. Because the English have got this crazy thing where every time they want to execute somebody, the first thing they do is cut their head off. Anyway, it's amazing to think that Edward Bruce, brother of Robert the Bruce, was king of all Ireland, and his body lies in Dundalk in Ireland. So that's this week in history, folks. Another important piece of Scottish history. The Scots and Irish have always helped each other, but one important point, the English have tried to divide the Scots and Irish because of religion, and they have succeeded to a great extent in doing that. We've got to realise that what the English are feeding us is a load of absolute nonsense. Everybody thought all the Jacobites were Catholics, utter pish. Lots of Jacobites were Protestants. Although there was a lot of them Catholics, there was Protestant Jacobites as well. After the Act of Union 1707, Catholics and Protestants rioted in the street together. They didn't want the bloody union. 99% of the people in Scotland didn't want the bloody union. So they brainwashed a certain proportion of the Scottish population to this day, divided them by religion. That's what they're good at, divide and conquer. And we've got to get around this big issue of divide and conquer. Remember Robert the Bruce, and remember his brother, Edward Bruce, who was also a great warrior. Okay,
Definitely.
folks.
Definitely. Anything you guys want to add? or ask? No? All right.
Ask a question if you want.
Well, go ahead, mate. Don't answer the question yourself, of course, then, because then you would look.
Yeah. You can ask a question if you want. I'm
Yeah,
quite happy to answer questions on history.
yeah. No?
None
All
popped
right.
No.
up in the chat, but there is a
Eh,
15-second delay between you saying that and reading there. So,
Right.
Thomas, you
Okay.
got a question for James?
No, he
There's
hasn't.
no,
He hasn't.
no. All right, guys. Let's move on. Um, the next topic, basically a question, and a question that we all probably know the answer to, but still gonna ask it. Is Liz Truss worse than Boris? Ian,
Possibly. I don't know. You know.
I did not expect that.
I didn't expect that either.
Well, look at what Boris did. You know, he got sacked from every single job, yet he was still Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Liz Truss started off as a Lib Dem, you know. But yeah, it has been a crazy, crazy few weeks. I mean, what we've had 4 Chancellors of the Exchequer in that time. We've had many budgets. The only thing that's not been reversed on is the bankers' cap's not been removed. Every other tax cutting measure that they were going to be doing on everything has been reversed. We're going to go into austerity Mark II. So yeah, hold on tight. It's going to be a really interesting decade but I don't, if you know, it's crazy to even see them talking in the news about replacing her already, you know, before Christmas, before Halloween,
I
you
hope
know.
so.
Well, I don't see how they could replace her because then you've got a 3-term Tory government where no one's actually elected other than the tens of thousands of Tory voters twice. You know, that seems very undemocratic in any political book, any political land frame. So why, even at that, you're starting to the Tories hitting out with the party now about the SNP teaming up with Labour. The way the polls are sitting, Labour will just wipe the floor clean on
Yeah,
their own. They wouldn't need anyone else at all. But that's the way that Westminster first past the post system is designed and set up to do. Because what Labour hasn't seen, that the Tories seen on the run up to Brexit and during Brexit and Brexit 2.0, whatever the hell we are on it now. The Tories had this opposition of the Brexiteers, so that that could effectively divide the Labour camp. We've not seen a political movement coming out of England yet, which is on that same very left-leaning side. So it's not like there's very much opposition there to Labour, you know, Lib Dems maybe recurring, but beyond that, it could be a Labour Lib Dem coalition. It would be that before it'd be the SNP anyway, because they don't want to. There's not going to be a single person down that place that's going to want Scottish independence. Full stop.
yeah. The funny thing is, during the entire year, you always see it's not much days till Christmas. It's 300 days till Christmas. It's 50 days till Christmas. It's whatever. During the entire year, you see that. Now there was this meme going around. It's only 2 p.m.s till Christmas. Well, it's not unthinkable, I think.
Yeah.
James,
Well, Liz Truss. She's quite possibly the most incompetent person that's ever been Prime Minister of Westminster.
yeah,
Quite honestly, I mean, billions have been wiped off the UK economy. The Bank of England had to step in to save the pension funds. What if the pension funds were doing the Swanee? There'd be no money to pay the pensioners. And by the way, the Bank of England, that's another farce. The Bank of England system and the Federal Reserve system are similar. They write a figure in bloody paper. There's nothing backing that up. See, when money was invented, there used to be gold backing up every bloody pound that was issued. Now the Bank of England just issue freaking IOU notes. Just said. So basically,
Government bonds.
absolutely, it's farcical. You couldn't make this shit up. But They stepped in, gave their IOU note to save the fucking pensions going down. The lowest pension in Europe, by the way. And it was ready to go down the Swanee, and then they wouldn't be able to pay the pensioners. Come on, folks. She is definitely the worst prime monster that Westminster ever had. And quite honestly, I think she's odds on to go before Christmas.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. Definitely not.
Well, the bookies they've got a bet on it that she wouldn't last longer than a head of lettuce, which was 10 days. Yeah, they actually do.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And another thing as well, like she hasn't actually phoned the first prime minister or first PM Nicola Sturgeon or the Wales government guy down there. She hasn't phoned them to speak to them at all whatsoever. I mean, that's just fucking just disrespectful for any politician, especially one who's supposed to run the country, you know. And basically, another thing as well, like the speeches are like they're just like robot. She's like a robot, you know, like they're man-made, and she only says the same thing all the time, repeats it. Can't like today's Nicola Sturgeon's white paper speech. That was an hour and a half actually talking, and every newspaper guy had a question to ask, and she answered it with articulation. I mean, that trust has fucking not got a brain cell to rub together. She can't even fucking see. She wants to run out of the place after 15 minutes. What she's done for independence is probably just the same as Boris Johnson, because people are realising now she's probably done better saying that she's going to take the money off the poor and give it to the rich. Now more people are saying, well, this is going to affect me because I'm in working poverty. And that's never been done before, a working man in poverty. And so they guys are going to start changing their votes to Scottish.
The biggest difference in my book is that she is the most blatant of actually saying on television, live on television, I want to give more money to the super rich. She actually said that.
Yeah.
And that's even more terrifying. Well, I wouldn't say terrifying, but it is actually.
Well,
James,
she's telling the truth.
Yeah.
James.
Right. What was mentioned there, what Thomas mentioned there about not wanting to speak to the head of our colonial provinces in Scotland and Wales, she's made it more abundantly clear than any previous Prime Minister of the so-called United Kingdom. She's made it abundantly clear the position. England is the ruling state within the United Kingdom. Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland are mere provinces. That she's made it so abundantly clear. You'd need to be bloody thick not to see it now. But believe me, there are still people out there that are bloody thick that are never going to get it. The penny will never drop for them. They'll never see how blatant it is. She doesn't want to speak to these people who rule her little provinces. They are basically England's province, as Robbie Burns says. Scotland is England's province. And that is the way she's made it abundantly clear that is the position of the Westminster government.
Definitely.
They keep telling us that we're a partner in a union, but we are not allowed to leave this union. They've got to make the decision. So that is not a partner in a union. Come on, folks. Even if you're a bloody unionist, you've got to realise that we are not a partner in this union.
No.
They control us like a province, a colonial province, the same as they do with Wales and Northern Ireland.
Definitely. Ian, anything you want to add?
You guys going to say you started with me, so Thomas.
Well, Thomas, Ian, anybody.
I don't know if
anything you want to add?
Working very well because the TV's not refreshing the chat, but
Do we see questions here? Well, a comment by Anita, James. It's private pension funds.
Is it private
Yeah,
pension? Right.
That's what Anita said.
It wasn't the state-backed ones. It was. There's some rule that these companies have got to have the equity, obviously, so that they can pay out. And it's once one wee cog in that banking sector system buckles, it has a chain effect knock-on. It just ripples turn into tidal waves very quickly, and it's. It's just, look at when Elon Musk went on a live stream and took a joint. Not only did he knock 20% off the value of SpaceX and Tesla at the same time, he brought in drug testing for all of SpaceX and all Tesla staff because he was involved in government contracts. So because he'd been seen consuming drugs, it's crazy what these pretend, as you said, just pretend numbers written down on a piece of paper thrown into the air, that they use as confetti in the middle of their champagne bars in London. It's bonkers, really is.
Another comment by Keith Brown. We are being exploited just like all the other colonies of the British Empire that hides behind the mask of the UK. I think that's spot on. All right, let's move on to the next topic. James, you wanted to talk about the upcoming events for the Scottish Resistance.
Yeah, there's quite a number of events coming up. If you look at any event that's run by myself and the Scottish Resistance, you'll see I've since 2014 I've done over 300 events. 300 events. Let's see what's coming up. This Saturday, October 22nd, we're doing a protest outside the BBC. I am going to a printers tomorrow to get some new posters done protesting against the BBC. We're going to have a protest against the BBC Saturday, October 22nd at 1 p.m. outside BBC headquarters at Pacific Quay. So Saturday, October 22nd at 1 p.m. Anybody that's listening, please come along. We've got to keep protesting against these people. We've got to get these people out of our country. It's them that are brainwashing up a certain percentage of our population. And we've got to make it clear the BBC are not wanted in Scotland. So that's the one on Saturday, October the 22nd. The next one is the Glasgow Halloween Ghost Hunt. Now, I've got to make it clear, this is for entertainment purposes. Any of these shows that you see on TV involving mediums or anything psychic, they always give that proviso. It's for entertainment purposes. It can be good to watch these things. I know that some people find it entertaining. If you want to believe it, that's up to you. If you don't, it's still entertaining to watch. So if you're a skeptic, don't be put off. It could be a good night. The Glasgow Halloween Ghost Hunt. It starts at the Scotia Bar at 6:30 on Halloween night, Monday, October the 31st. The Scotia Bar is the oldest bar in Glasgow, and it's reputedly haunted by four ghosts. And honestly, I've spoken to a lot of the staff in there, and they've all got stories about ghosts in there. So it's a really, really frightening place. So come along to that. What we intend to do is go from the Scotia Bar, go along the Tron Gate, and there's a plaque there to Wee Willie Winkie. Then we're going to go up the High Street to the Castle House Hotel. That's the hotel right up the top of the High Street. Now, incidentally, folks, the High Street is the most haunted area in Glasgow. The High Street was the first part of Glasgow. It's the oldest part of Glasgow, the Glasgow High Street. Very, very haunted. Lots of people that live in the High Street tell you they see apparitions even in the streets at night time. It's very, very haunted. And the Glasgow, this Cathedral House Hotel, right up the top of the High Street, lots of ghost hunters go there to some of the rooms and hire it overnight to do ghost hunting. And there's lots and lots of stuff on YouTube. Some of the amazing things that happen in these haunted rooms in the Cathedral House Hotel. So that's part of the Glasgow Halloween Ghost Walk. And then we go down to the Old Burnt Barns, which is also a very, very old bar. And that is in the Barrowland of Glasgow. And we're going to be inside there. We're going to have some mediums and some tarot readers and some music to do with Halloween. So it's going to be a great event, folks. If you're interested in going, please let me know and we can organise tickets for you. So there you go. That's the Glasgow Halloween event on Halloween itself, 31st of October. Now, next event is the 19th of November. Recently, Ian Hamilton, the last of the four patriots who went down to Westminster on Christmas Day in 1950 and brought back the Stone of Destiny. Ian Hamilton died recently, and in remembrance of that, to remember Ian Hamilton and the four patriots that went down to Westminster, we're going to have an event called the Stone of Destiny at the Arlington Bar. The reason it's the Arlington Bar is this, folks. When these four guys brought the Stone of Destiny back to Scotland, the first place they went was at Arlington Bar in Woodlands Road. And they hoisted the Stone of Destiny up to the bar, and everybody cheered and raised a glass. We got the Stone of Destiny back. Now, when you speak to the owners of the Arlington Bar, some of them say that's the real Stone of Destiny that's still sitting in the bar to this day. And others say, no, that's one of the replicas, because there was about 7 replicas made when it was brought back to Scotland. Where the real Stone of Destiny is, I don't know. I think only a few people know. Everybody's got their own theories, and I love to hear all the different stories. It's amazing to hear. So this will be a good event, Stone of Destiny event at the Arlington Bar. We'll remember the 4 patriots that brought back the Stone of Destiny. Saturday, November the 19th at 1 p.m. And you can actually go and view this stone and make your own mind up if it's a fake or whether it's a replica. I think it's a replica. Right, anyway, let's move on. On the 26th of November, we've got an event called Remembering the Battling Bishop. Now, this was one of Scotland's greatest patriots, Bishop Robert Wishart. He was the Bishop of Glasgow Cathedral. And this guy helped not only William Wallace, but Robert the Bruce. He hid William Wallace one time in the cathedral when the English were after him. And he was a man that supplied the robes for Robert the Bruce when he was crowned King of Scots in March of 1306. And this guy, even when he was in his 60s, he used to don all the battle armour. Even though he was a bishop, he donned all the battle armour and went out to fight for Scotland's independence. An amazing guy. And his body is buried in the crypt of Glasgow Cathedral. And when we do this event, permitting, sometimes they don't let us in, if we can get into the cathedral, we'll go down to the crypt and see the tomb of a great patriot, Bishop Robert Wishart. So that's the event on the 26th of November, remembering the battling bishop, who died on the 26th of November in the year 1318. So let's move on. St Andrew's Day. We're having a St Andrew's Day hootenanny in the Old Burnt Barns on Wednesday, the 30th of November, right on St Andrew's Day at 7 p.m. We're going to have singers there singing all Scottish songs. St Andrew's Day, the Old Burnt Barns. So I've got tickets for that as well. If you want tickets, let me know. I can arrange that for you. And the final event I want to mention actually goes into next year. It's an event that we have every single year, the Mark McGinn Remembrance, and that is also at the Old Burnt Barns. The reason it's there is it's in Ross Street, where Mark McGinn was born. And years ago, I managed to get a plaque put up on Ross Street to Mark McGinn, the legendary Scottish folk singer. And we do this event every year, and we always get a good crowd for it. We always get a good crowd for it. So already, I've got lots of tickets sold for this event, and even though it's next year, the Mark McGinn event. So get your tickets, folks. I've even mentioned to the staff in the Old Burnt Barns that we might have an overspill on to the main pub for the McGinn event, because there's so many people want tickets. It's a brilliant event. We have lots and lots of singers singing Mark McGinn songs. And Mark McGinn wrote over 400 songs and poems. This guy here, Thomas McArthur, he's fast catching up. He's done it with 300. But so I don't know if Thomas can get somebody to sing some of his songs at this event. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'll talk to Thomas later about that. Anyway, that's a rundown of that's just some of the events that we're doing, folks. There's so many events that we do. There's not enough hours in the day to mention them all.
Yeah.
I just work tirelessly for Scottish independence, and I put on all these events. I wish there was two of me or three of me because I could get a lot more done. But that's all the events, folks. Please come and support these events. They're important to get the message over for Scottish independence.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I want to add one to that, James, and
Yep.
that's the first live event we're going to do in The Hague
Yes.
since 3-4 years now. I mean, we've done 3 online. It will be technically will be the 7th annual Netherlands for Scottish Independence rally, uh, March and rally now again will be going to be live, and that's on May the 27th, 2023. And hold on, the clock's ticking, going again. No, but that's going to be the first live event since like 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago. And we're gonna one musician's already been booked. Not with have not announced yet anything, but um, please, I'm saying this far in advance. If you wanna just have a great weekend out, because coming over for just one day, that's that probably not gonna work because you wouldn't be able to see anything of the city. But make a weekend out of it. It will be brilliant. James has been there a couple of times, and I'm sure he's going to be there again this year, um, or next year actually, 2023. But if you can make it, we'll inform you um, um, till we close to the time. James,
Yeah, I would say that this event that Raymond's talking about is a brilliant event, folks. I've been a few times to this event. I normally do the history between Scotland and the Netherlands. We've got a brilliant history. Scotland and the Netherlands have got a great history of trading and all the rest of it, and lots of historical things that have happened between Scotland, the Netherlands, the USA, and what a brilliant history we've got. So I'm hoping to be there. I'd love to be there next year for that event. If Raymond gives me the invite, I'll be over there to give a
consider
wee
yourself invited, mate. Always, you have always have an open invite. You know
yeah,
that.
I'll give a wee speech about some history between Scotland and the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And please, folks, consider going. It's a lovely city in The Hague in the Netherlands. It really is. I was really impressed with it when I went, and please consider going. It's a great day and a great march. And
Yeah.
I've got to say, the police in the Netherlands, I found them very, very nice. So uh, and the people are absolutely excellent in the Netherlands, I've got to say. Very helpful people I found.
Yeah,
So,
actually, the last live event, you weren't there. You weren't able to make it, James.
because it was right on my wife's birthday,
Yeah,
the
I
20th.
know, I know.
So
The
I
problem,
noticed you've changed that this time.
yeah, but the fun thing was again, like you said, the police were amazing. They even
Well,
stopped and took pictures, and they put it on their own Twitter account to show everybody what a great event. And we got a lot of great responses from people just walking by and asking what we're doing there. So,
yeah,
and that's what we're doing with this, is trying to get the message across.
yeah.
And that's what we're going to do live again since a few years. So we
Sounds
kept
good.
we kept the momentum going via the online versions, but nothing beats a live event. Um,
That's true.
and this will be no different. And the route of the march always goes past the British Embassy. Of course, on a Saturday they're closed, so it's just a symbolic thing, but still. And we yeah, it's basically we proposed the route, and they've approved it, and they never see a problem with it. So and we always had a great rapport with the police there. So yeah, definitely. But we will be making announcements closer to the time. Of course, we're way ahead of that date of May 27th, but we're getting there, and we will be announcing stuff when the time comes. Now, we have come to the end of the show. We did have one topic that we had in mind if we had time to spare to do, but we will move that over to next week. Um, we were hoping to do it today because we wanted to talk also about the proposals that Nicola did in the speech, and I wanted to show you guys something concerning international support for Scottish independence and me being a member of ALBA International, that uh, two of our members of the executive committee of ALBA International did a proposal. What do you call that? They proposed a topical motion at conference yesterday and had a great response. And I wanted to show you just that particular video, but we're going to move that to next week. Um, what I want to do now is go around the panel for final comments. Ian, final comments, and maybe you can hint on the on maybe some topics or comments that you see on the chat.
Well, can't see any. They're
Oh,
gone. They're
nothing.
away.
All right. No
Sorry,
bother.
my face got so bright because it's just a white screen now.
No bother.
So shout out to everyone who was involved in the chat though. It was great. I was
Definitely.
literally spent half the time listening to you and reading the banter between Kev O'Reilly and the rest. So, which would have been interesting if we got into the topic of the Alba conference and
Yeah,
the topic of the SNP conference and so but plenty more podcasts, plenty more hours of Monday night to independence,
definitely.
But yeah, thanks everyone who's getting involved. Remember, sign up at salvo.scot, get involved in that, have a look at what in the boxy, and I see you on the other side.
Definitely. Birthday boy, Thomas, your final comments.
Yeah, well, you've got a great song for your Netherlands Scotland thing anyway. The
Definitely.
one I wrote for you,
Definitely.
and what I wanted to say to James as well. I've actually wrote a song about the Stone of Destiny. So I've got
Yeah, I know
40. I've got 40 songs or so, 45 songs that I need in production, and I've got a fundraiser, like a music fundraiser going. And if anyone can click on the link, send even a couple of pounds if they have it, that'll go towards any song that needs to be sung, like the Stone of Destiny or the King Charles song or whatever song, it'll go towards that because it would help me a lot as well because I've done 100, maybe 200 songs paid for. Every little bit helps nowadays, so I'd really appreciate if anyone can donate a couple of pounds to go towards the songs because that's still a Destiny song. I want to get that one out.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I want to ask people watching is if you come across the link to Thomas's crowdfund, share it around as well. Please do with a nice message, inviting people to help him out. He helps us out with his songs, so let's help him out as well. Um, and one advice I will give you, Thomas, if you put a post up and talk about your crowdfund, make sure that the link is clickable and not included in a picture, because then nobody can click on it.
Yeah, I think it's all done now. I think it's all.
Yeah.
I put it above every song that I'm producing now, so that they can sing, listen to the song, and then if they've got a couple of shekels together, just stick it on it. You know what I mean? Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate it, guys.
Never. Well, my final comments. I'm not going to even bother too much making things up. I'm just the thing is, I keep saying this, and I will keep saying this, is just stay united, guys. We are close to the end game, and we need to stay united. I'll just leave it like that. I can't repeat my words every single week. I don't know if it falls on deaf ears, but um, it does need to happen. We have to stay united. James.
Right. Well, thanks for everybody that was on the panel tonight. We had quite a good show tonight. I want to come back to Thomas on his crowdfunder. Put that crowdfunder on one of the Scottish resistance groups, Scottish Patriotic Singers. Put it on that group.
That's a good one. Good.
That is one of the groups. You know, there's over 200 Scottish resistance groups. They're not all called the Scottish Resistance, but sometime within the body of it, it says this is a Scottish resistance group. Scottish Patriotic Singers is a Scottish resistance group. So is Indie Events Group. Indie Events Group is a Scottish resistance group as well. There's over 200 groups. Put it on the main Scottish resistance group as well, Thomas. Put your crowdfunder on there, and people start putting money towards it to help you get funding you require for the Stone of Destiny thing. So that's it. That's what to do. Let's all work together for Scotland's independence.
Amen.
So, only one more thing left to say. This is the Scottish Resistance. We will never give up the fight for Scotland's freedom. Good night, folks.
Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.